Hi folks, this is Caitlin and my Granny Gatewood here, and we're back to show you how to make our family recipe of beans and cornbread. This is an Appalachian staple. It's very popular throughout the region in different variations, and it's pretty popular because it uses a lot of very simple, cheaper ingredients, and you can make enough for a very large family. Did you eat this growing up, Grandma?
Every day.
Every day? Even the cornbread?
Yes.
Yep, so we're excited to show you. So first we're going to cook the beans. For our recipe, our family usually uses pinto beans. We get a 1 pound bag. The first thing that you need to do is do something called look the beans. So we're going to sort through these beans, and we're going to take out any half beans and any stones that might be in the package. So what you do is just open up your package. Out the beans onto a clean countertop. We did clean this earlier. And as a sample, I can just show here what we do. Grandma's a pro at this. And yeah, we're just gonna literally put the beans into a pile and make sure there aren't any bad beans, no half beans, and no stones. So we just looked the beans and we had a pretty good bag. These are the only ones that we found that we're not going to use in our cooked beans. They're just the halves. I found no stones, and we don't use these just because they become way too mushy once we start cooking. So next thing that we need to do is to wash the beans. So it's very simple. Just going to grab a colander, take our good beans, and we're going to slide them in here. So after putting them in the colander, you're gonna set your colander in the sink and just rinse them off. Make sure to spin the colander around and to make sure that you're washing them thoroughly. Pick them up and really start getting at it. Then you're gonna do one final mix. So now we've washed the beans, we're going to add them into our pot to cook. Make sure you get all of them in. So we set our pot of beans on the stove, and we're going to add in first 6 cups of water. We're also going to add in onions. This is about a half cup. This is to taste. We like onions in our beans. We think it adds a great flavor to it. A lot of Appalachians will also use bacon, so you can put some bacon in your beans to cook with. That's also very tasty. We're then going to add in a 4th cup of vegetable oil. Traditionally, Appalachians will use lard in place of oil. That does add some extra flavor. We just didn't have any lard handy, so we're using vegetable oil. And finally, we're going to add in a half teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper. Again, this is to taste. If you don't like all that salt or all that pepper, you can always modify. So we're just going to stir this up a little bit. It doesn't need to be super mixed since it'll be cooking for a while. And then we are going to put the stove onto high. We're going to get this to a boil, put the lid on askew just like that. So we're going to keep it like that just to make sure that the beans don't start overflowing the pot once it starts boiling. So next we're going to make the cornbread. We're first going to add in our dry ingredients into our bowl right here. It's actually a special bowl, right?
Mm-hmm. It's my grandmother's.
It's her grandmother's. So it's actually from Appalachia in Ohio, and it's over 100 years old, so it's kind of special to us, and she used to use this to make cornbread and biscuits as well. So first we're going to add in 1 cup of cornmeal. You can use yellow or white. We're going to add in 1 cup of flour. Just use white flour here. We're going to add in 4 teaspoons of baking powder. We're going to add in 4 tablespoons of sweetener. We use a sugar-free sweetener, but you can also use sugar. Traditionally, sugar is used. And then we're going to do a half teaspoon of salt. So now that our beans are boiling, we're now going to turn the temperature down to low to try to keep the beans at a simmer, so you can see they're boiling here. And you do want to keep the lid still askew at least for a little bit, just to make sure, since they are still boiling technically, that they don't overflow. And we're gonna keep it like this for a couple hours at simmering. So next we're gonna add in our wet ingredients. First is 1 egg beaten. What I like to do is add it in and then stir it up. We usually use a wooden spoon. Next, we're going to add in a 1/4 cup of oil. And then finally, what we want to add in is 1 cup of milk. And we're using whole milk to give it more flavor. Do you want to start, Granny?
Mm-mm.
Nope. So next we're going to put our cornbread batter into a pan. I've already pre-greased it with some cooking spray. So take it in, and we're just going to pour it down the middle. So now we're going to put our cornbread batter into the oven to bake. We have the oven preheated to 425 degrees. So pop this in, kind of in the middle of the oven. And then we'll set our timer for 20 minutes. And then after that, we will check and make sure it is baked thoroughly. So you'll know that your beans are done when they're soft enough to eat. You just take it, take a taste, and if you are satisfied with that, then they're done. We simmered ours for about 2 hours, then added some salt and pepper to taste. So I believe our cornbread is done. So in order to check that it's done, what you can do is just pop it out. You're going to check and make sure that the edges are kind of coming off the pan, and then you can stick a toothpick in and see that it's dry. So this looks pretty done to me, and we're just going to take it out. So there's different ways that you can eat this. What I like to do is just take a bite of the cornbread and take a bite of the beans. How do you like to eat it, Grandma?
The same way.
So I guess I learned it from her. Let's see how this turned out. That's good. You can try with the beans. So yep, thanks folks. How are the beans? Did I do you good? Thanks for watching, folks. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up on the video and subscribe for more videos about Appalachian culture. Thanks.